You're listening to the Astromommy Daily Horoscope, a forecast that hopes to shine a light in the dark, helping us all see where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. Whether you're a first-time listener or a long-time subscriber, thanks for being here. I truly appreciate you being in the Astromommy community. I hope you enjoyed today's horoscope and card reading. If you would like to support the Astromommy newsletter, there are several ways to do so. Subscribe on Substack, share it with a friend, schedule a reading, check out my family's Etsy shop, Metaphysical Flamingo, or just leave a tip. Without further ado, here is the Daily Horoscope. Saturn in Pisces, 2023 through 2025. Horoscopes for all 12 signs, March 7th, 2023. Good morning, friends. This is one of 3 posts today. The second will be about the full moon and the tarot card for the day, and the third is my poem for the full moon poetry slam. Okay, let's get into the astrology. In this post, we are going to discuss Saturn's ingress into Pisces for each of the 12 sun or rising signs. Saturn ingresses into Pisces today, March 7th, 2023 at 8:34 a.m. Eastern Time, and will remain in Pisces until May 24th, 2025. A few overarching themes that we can watch for during Saturn's time in any sign are twofold. On one hand, Saturn can bring restriction, limitation, and more boundaries around a topic. And on the other hand, Saturn can bring greater responsibility, commitment, and dedication to a subject. It depends on the overall nature of your natal chart. Also, oftentimes people experience both a restriction in one area and a greater responsibility in another. Saturn universally signifies structure, boundaries, time, darkness, death, decay, loss, fear, elderly male figures, and old, wise people, places, and things, to name a few. Saturn is said to be the great teacher, the grim reaper, and Father Time. Saturn in Pisces themes in general may be of self-sacrifice, devotion, mysticism, faith, idealistic love, fantasy, yearning, martyrdom, and the hardworking artist, healer, or cleric. Below you will find the ingress chart for Saturn into Pisces. The following horoscopes will make the most sense if you read your rising sign, because then the houses will more closely align with your natal chart, although I have found reading both my sun and rising signs to be relevant. If you don't know your rising sign, you can calculate your birth chart online for free at many different sites. Here are a few of my favorites: Cafe Astrology, Astro.com, and AstroSeek. Saturn in Pisces horoscopes for all 12 signs. Aries. Saturn's ingress into Pisces will be happening in your 12th house of hidden things, secrets, self-undoings, confinement, subconscious spirituality, and solitude. In ancient astrology, the 12th house was known as Saturn's house of joy. Things that happen in the 12th house happen under the radar. It's a blind spot that we can't see until the planet emerges into our first house and is visible. So whatever Saturn does in this house, it will all sort of be percolating under the surface. It's like your spirit will be doing the work, preparing you for when Saturn ingresses into Aries in 2025. Saturn will be evaluating your commitments and responsibilities on a soul level. What burdens and responsibilities have you been carrying that still require your sacrifice, which do not, and it's time to relinquish your service? Saturn brings responsibilities, and he also relieves you of them. As the transit progresses, you may notice the picture of what is being formed in your subconscious starts to take shape as Saturn gets closer and closer to Aries. Taurus. Saturn's ingress into Pisces will be happening in your 11th house of friends, allies, and groups. The 11th house also has to do with hopes and wishes and money from your career, as well as your popularity or who your audience is. When Saturn goes through this house, you can expect some changes to occur in regard to who your friends are, which social circles you hang out with, or how popular or liked you are within those groups. Saturn restricts, limits, and confines, and so this could be a period when your friend group becomes smaller, or you experience more alone time than you are used to. If you have a social platform, this could be a time when you work really hard to grow your audience, but you may not see the rewards for your efforts while Saturn is present. Gemini. Saturn's ingress into Pisces will be happening in your 10th house of career, public recognition, the mother, and authority figures, how you put yourself out there, and praxis. When Saturn goes through this house, you can expect what you are publicly recognized for to change. You may assume more responsibility at work and gain a new title. Since Saturn was just going through your 9th house of higher education, maybe you've been working on a degree or vocation, and now you are ready to get serious and land a job in your field or start your own business. This will be a time when people will see the hard work you have done, and you may gain recognition and status in your chosen profession. On the flip side, Saturn moving through this house could mean a job loss, change, or resignation due to boredom or a lack of commitment, and you go through a process of redefining what you are known for. Saturn traveling through this house in Pisces could also bring up spiritual lessons that change you in a noticeable or public way. Because the 10th house is traditionally the mother, Saturn moving through this space can also indicate a serious change that involves commitments to your mother and her health and wellness. Cancer. Saturn's ingress into Pisces will be happening in your 9th house of higher education, travel, and belief systems. When Saturn goes through this house, you may find you decide to get serious about a vocation or educational goal that you have and go back to school. Or if you are already in school or studying something, this could be the time when you become serious and committed about what you have been studying and decide it's going to be your profession. You may find that your belief systems or the organized religion that you are a part of goes through a transition, or you get more serious and committed and take certain vows to show your devotion to something. On the other hand, you could experience boredom or exhaustion and decide to change educational or spiritual paths. Traveling abroad could come into play for either religious or educational reasons. Leo. Saturn's ingress into Pisces will be happening in your 8th house of soul contracts, death, other people's money, and shared resources. The 8th house is also about where we feel we are bound to another person and they are bound to us, and in Pisces, this has the flavor of sacrifice. Where are we making a sacrifice to carry something for someone that we care about? When Saturn moves through this house, you can expect the ways in which you depend on others for support and how they depend on you to go through changes. This could mean that your spouse's or partner's job changes in some way. They could get promoted and take on more responsibility, or they could lose their job, decide to quit, or retire. Either way, the way in which you rely on each other for support will go through a shift. This could also be a time when you release a heavy burden that you've been carrying, like the 10 of Wands, and decide not to carry it anymore. This most likely is a financial bond with someone, but it could also be an emotional bond too, and in Pisces, this could have to do with emotional or financial boundaries. The 8th house is the house of death, and so your relationship with death may get more serious, or you may have a new responsibility because of death. There could be fear that comes up around death or mortality, and you could get very serious about end-of-life estate planning. Virgo. Saturn's ingress into Pisces will be happening in your 7th house of marriage, partnerships, legal matters, and pleasures. When Saturn moves through this house in Pisces, there could be restrictions, limitations, and boundaries in regard to your relationships. A significant relationship could get more serious and committed, and marriage or a vow of commitment could come into play. On the flip side, relationships or partnerships could become cold, distant, and depleted, and divorce, breakups, and loss could be experienced. A lot of these types of committed relationships come with contracts that have to be signed or broken. In traditional astrology, the 7th house also has to do with pleasures and sexuality, and Saturn can bring a sense of prohibition, denial, restraint, or the feeling like your sensual nature is experiencing a dry spell. In Pisces, this could also be about the unfulfilled fantasy of love, sex, and partnership that seems too idealistic to ever come to pass, and so there could be a feeling of yearning. Libra. Saturn's ingress into Pisces will be happening in your 6th house of servitude, stress, illness, and small pets. When Saturn passes through your 6th house, you could feel a greater sense of selfless servitude towards those that are in your care. The services you provide to others could become more serious, and your responsibilities could grow as you willingly sacrifice your time, labor, and resources to be of assistance to someone you love and care for. Because of this self-sacrifice, you yourself could experience a drain on your own resources, physically or spiritually. The 6th house in traditional astrology was called the joy of Mars, and so there is a martyr-like feeling here with Pisces, a warrior who selflessly fights for the health of others like a cleric or a healer. If you have small pets or animals that you care for, there could be a deeper commitment to them, or they could go through an illness that requires you to care for them in a dedicated way, or you could decide to unburden yourself from the responsibility of caring for a pet. Scorpio. Saturn's ingress into Pisces will be happening in your 5th house of creativity, children, pregnancy, and recreational pleasures. When Saturn travels through this house, this could mean that you are taking on more responsibilities and commitments surrounding children and parenthood. It could also mean that there is a limitation, loss, or issue surrounding the topics of children or pregnancy. Being the house of recreational pleasures, Saturn brings a sobering effect when he travels through the 5th house, and what may have once been a wild, carefree attitude towards a form of recreation may get a reality check from Saturn. It's a little bit like the fun police comes in and says, okay, you've had your fun. Now it's time to clean up and go to bed. You have to work tomorrow. On the flip side, Saturn moving through this house may emphasize a prohibition or restriction that you have around loosening up and having fun, and this could provide some healing moments. The fifth house in traditional astrology was called the joy of Venus. And so there is this sense when Saturn is moving through this house that how you loosen up and allow yourself to experience joy and pleasure will come up during this time. And it's really about creating healthy boundaries that both allow you to have fun but also protect against overdoing it to where it turns into an addiction. In terms of creativity and entrepreneurship, when Saturn is going through your fifth house, this could be a time of great productivity, hard work, and labor associated with your creative output or your business. You may not see the rewards of your efforts while Saturn is here, but your hard work and dedication to your craft may pay off in the end. Or again, conversely, Saturn going through your fifth house could dry up your creative juices, or there could be limitations around your customer base, and you could experience a creative drought or a drop in revenue, which may lead to a reevaluation of your commitments. Sagittarius. Saturn's ingress into Pisces will be happening in your fourth house of home, family, roots of origin, landed property, and traditionally the father. When Saturn moves through your fourth house, you may experience a greater responsibility in regard to your family, your home, or your parents, particularly your father. You could be welcoming a new family member, buying a home or property, or housing your elderly parent. You could move, sell your house, or leave home for the first time. A significant death in the family may happen that changes the foundation of the family unit. With Saturn and Pisces in this space, this could bring up the sacrifices that you make for your family and what you are willing to continue to do and what you do not want to do anymore. So there's a reevaluation of your dedication and devotion to the family patterns and karma when Saturn is visiting this space. With all of this deep exploration of family wounds comes the possibility of healing and forgiveness. Capricorn. Saturn's ingress into Pisces will be happening in your third house of siblings, community, communication, elementary education, your environment, and your daily route and routine. When Saturn is moving through your third house, you could experience new responsibilities concerning your daily habits and routines. These responsibilities may stem from limitations and restrictions that you encounter and may even have to do with your method of transportation. Car trouble could be an issue. The relationships with your siblings or neighbors could be tested or redefined. Another interesting thing to consider when Saturn is moving through your third house is how you communicate with others and with yourself. You may be too rigid in your thinking and need to lighten up, or you may be too scattered and unfocused and need to redirect your thoughts. Either way, new forms of communicating and thinking may be underway. Your daily routine, habits, and daily route may experience limitations and restrictions that force you to go about your day in a more structured way. Saturn is about boundaries, so wherever you have none, Saturn will create some, whether you like it or not. And wherever you already have boundaries, Saturn will test them to see if they are still serving your highest good. Aquarius. Saturn's ingress into Pisces will be happening in your second house of finances, possessions, and resources. This will affect your work, career, and your resource management. Saturn brings limitations and boundaries, and so in the second house, we can see this as having limited means or resources to do the things you want, or you could have the financial resources you need, but you have to put in some focused time working really hard to accomplish your goals. It's like planting a garden. It takes work, commitment, and effort, but if you keep at it and you had a fertile piece of land to grow your garden in the first place, then your plants will take root and produce for you. If all you had to grow a garden was a sandy, dry desert, then you're dealing with limitations that make it almost impossible to grow a healthy and thriving garden. So it depends upon what resources you have available to you before Saturn entered this house. Those will make a difference. Pisces. Saturn's ingress into Pisces will be happening in your first house of self, health, personality, and environment. When Saturn moves through your first house, you may experience a greater responsibility thrust upon you that you must show up for. Your identity may change. You may experience a deeper sense of duty and commitment to yourself, your purpose, and your calling, and people may notice your maturity, capability, and wisdom. When Saturn goes through your first house, there is a sense that you have to sacrifice the old you to welcome in the responsibility of the new you. Your body may go through signs of aging or have changes that not only change your body right now on the outside, but change the internal wisdom of your body. So something physical that requires faith, commitment, courage, and devotion to the new you, inside and out. I hope this is helpful. Until Friday, Astro Mommy.
Thank you for reading or listening to the Daily Horoscope. Quick links and resources can be found at the bottom of the newsletter. If you seek knowledge and enlightenment, the Astronomy newsletter may be right for you. Side effects of reading or listening to the Astronomy newsletter are common and include joy, jubilation, delight, happiness, gratitude, love, triumph, feeling in tune with the universe, experiencing deep insights, reflections and contemplations, a lightened soul, a lighter step, feeling awake when others are asleep, illuminated, enlightened, having spiritual experiences, noticing repeating numbers, animals in nature, or songs on the radio that speak to you, getting vibes, clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsmelliance, feeling like you know a secret language, biophilia, crying tears of joy, emotional literacy, feeling lively, stable, exalted, having an auric glow, or feeling like you woke up on the right side of the bed have all been reported. If you purchase anything through the affiliate links that I provide in the newsletters, I will make a very small commission. Thanks for listening.